Hello everyone, this is Moses from Wilona's Cave. Before we continue with the solo campaign of Hackleswell, let me recap the last episode. Hackleswell was in the spare bedroom in Olgrid's farmhouse. Olgrid asked if anything unusual happened while meditating. Hackleswell replied that he heard his daughter's voice in the wind. He was also wearing the blanket gifted to him by Halimar. Olgrid was intrigued and wondered about what Hackleswell stated, and continued to ask more questions. Hackleswell tried to use the skill of bluffing and use his ability of ill-tempered, which gave him an angry condition. Hackleswell failed the roll and responded angrily and stated that he had overstayed his welcome and must leave. Olgrid, being a mage, not just a farmer, grabs Hackleswell's arm while he walked past him. He then used telepathy to try to detect the vision that Hackleswell is having. Olgrid then saw a vision of Hackleswell clutching a necklace as shadows swirled in and out of view, and another vision of Hackleswell floating on his back down a wide river with the sound of a waterfall drawing nearer and nearer. Now, let's continue with the solo campaign. So now the time of day is now night. Now I had an idea that after Olgrid saw Hackleswell's vision, does he confront him on what he saw? Now that is a fortune chart roll in the official solo rules of Dragonbane. I'll put up the fortune chart on the screen now. 1 being an extreme no, 6 being an extreme yes. So does Olgrid confront Hackleswell on what he saw? And I rolled a 1, an extreme no. Olgrid lets go of his friend's arm, and a sadness fills his eyes over the visions he saw of Hackleswell. So I had to ask, why wouldn't Olgrid not say anything? So with that, I went to the inspiration table, and I'll show that on the screen right now, and I rolled a 17 and a 16. And I chose the attribute column, which is protected and peaceful. And I interpreted that as protect, peace. Olgrid didn't want to anger Hackleswell any longer. So much so that he will no longer ask about anything pertaining to his daughter of his visions. So from here on out, for an X amount of time, Olgrid will never ask anything about the visions or Hackleswell's daughter from here on out, because he doesn't want to get Hackleswell too angry where they stop talking again. So he just wants to protect the peace by keeping his mouth shut. Hackleswell grabs his traveling sack, then finishes gathering all of his belongings except for the small wooden sunflower. He starts looking for it, and then he saw Olgrid hold out his hand with a little sunflower in it. Hackleswell slowly walks up to Olgrid, looks into his eyes, and then he takes the sunflower out of his hand. Hackleswell says thank you and farewell, old friend. Now before I get too far into the story, so you can see the drawing here, but before something else happens, this is the idea I had in Skyrim for this drawing. I just love this area. Took a screenshot and expanded upon it, and I also want to show you on the map of where he's headed to, where he's going to try to go to, let's say. So I'll show a close-up.
Staying safe.
Yeah, I'm staying safe, thank you. So I'll show you a close-up of what it looks like. Here's what it looks like right here. So you can see the river. So without rolling dice, I'm just going to say there's no inhabitants here. This is an old fortress or old castle near the river, and I'll show you the map of where it is. And what it is now is a training facility. So this is like an army comes here, puts a team in the castle and a team trying to invade the castle. So it's like a training ground to learn how to invade a castle. So that's all this is. But there's something interesting in this castle that I will do a dice roll for. Something interesting about this little fort or castle on the river, and I'll show you where it is on the map right now. Let me do screen recording while I'm on audio. One moment. Records the close. Yes. Okay, so right here is Outskirt. His house is right over here. He left Outskirt, the settlement. Skyrim. He left Outskirt, walked out here, and went northeast. We rolled encounters and found nothing. Nothing happened. And then we had the broken bridge, as you can see right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So the broken bridge. So we swam across the bridge. We tried to sleep here, and that's when we realized he couldn't fall asleep. We had problems. There's Olgrid's farmhouse and his special farm, of which we don't know why it's so special yet. But that's where he is, and he wants to leave here to go up the river, upstream, to here. And that's what that drawing is right there. That's where he's headed to. So let's continue. As Hackleswell is leaving the farmhouse, Olgrid's wife, Tora, meets him as he walks out the front door. She hands him a sack full of food rations. So he's up to 6. So now his character sheet is at 6. It was 2. Now it's 6. I'm not going to roll a d6 to see how many food rations she was about to give. She stuffed his traveling sack as much as possible with cheese, jerky, who knows what else. Just a whole bunch of food. But she also gives something else. Now, there's no roll on that if she gives something or not. He is going to get something else from Tora. I don't know what it will be, but I'm going to roll on a fortune chart to see if it is what I'm thinking it is. And that is what the live roll is going to be. So if it rolls on a yes, I will state what my idea was. And it happened after I looked at the character sheet, thinking, you know what, this would be really interesting if she did it. So let's see if my idea is true. There we go. 6. Finally, something going well for me, I guess. So a 6, an extreme yes. Now, an extreme yes, let me see how I can interpret that. An extreme yes. What happened was, when I went through my character sheet, when I changed this to food rations to a 6, I noticed that for tiny items, he still has Hackleswell, still has horsetail, 3 of them, chamomile and rosemary for, if you remember, the sleeping poison. And I wonder if Tora used the apothecary room to make the poison for him, and it was an extreme yes. So a yes would have been he got a vial of sleeping poison from Tora. An extreme yes, I'm going to say, is a d6. There's going to be a d6 amount of sleeping poison vials that she made for Hackleswell. 5. So there's 5 sleeping poisons. I'll add that to the character sheet now. So Tora gave 5 sleeping poison vials to Hackleswell to help him sleep on his travels. Now there's going to be issues with drinking a poison to go to sleep. So I'll think of a few cool things. Maybe I'll roll for a random event to see if it will happen or not, like an attack or something, because he's passed out from the sleeping poison, or he takes damage. I have to roll to see if he does or not, just because he took a poison. You know, I don't know yet. We'll figure that out later. But Tora gave sleeping poison to Hackleswell, 5 vials. So I rolled a 5, and it was a sleeping poison. Now remember, Hackleswell still has an angry condition that he hasn't dealt with yet. But he still manages to hug Tora and thanks her for everything she's done for him thus far, you know, over the history of their friendship. She looks up at him and says, "Don't forget that your friends still love you very much, Hackleswell," and then tells him goodbye. Now, there's a reason why, like in my previous session, there's a reason why I haven't wrote end of session here. Okay, I haven't wrote end of session. And the reason being, let me go on the map again. Let me do screen record. One moment. Hackleswell is going to, exit the farmhouse here and walk up this way, hike up this way, and hopefully he can make it, because that's 15 kilometers right here. Okay, that's 15 kilometers, and that's the big metric in this game of Dragonbane, is 15 kilometers. But when I zoomed in, I never saw this before. A boat. It is going to be much easier to row up this river. Let me zoom out. It's going to be much easier to row up this river under the bridge, keep going. The water's getting darker, so I'm assuming the water is more, the rapids are stronger. See how they're getting stronger? All the way up to this waterfall. That's where he wants to go. So, I don't know. I don't think, let me zoom in. I don't think that Hackleswell would steal the boat. When I saw this boat, I went, great. This boat will help me a lot on my travels if I could borrow it from Olgrid. But after the fight we just had, do you think that Olgrid would give him the boat for the time being, let him borrow it? Remember, Hackoswell still has an angry condition. So if we try to use charisma, charisma is going to be, let me see. No, intelligence is the one that's, intelligence rolls are the ones that are affected. So charisma is still okay, but his charisma is not that great. And his persuasion is a 6, so that's horrible. And I don't want to do anything to screw something up. Although Hackoswell does have the heroic ability of Sole Survivor. When adventuring alone, you may push a roll without suffering a condition. It costs 3 willpower points. Or he just tries to get rid of his angry condition and sit down with them. Or he says forget about the boat and travels along, or he just takes the boat without asking. Don't know yet. I wanted to say all that before I put end of session here. So I hope you enjoyed another episode for Wilona's Cave, and I'm really interested in seeing what happens here in this location. I have a lot of cool ideas that may be happening in this location that I hope that I roll a yes for my ideas like I did with this session. And I'm loving Dragonbane, especially solo. So happy gaming, everybody. Bye.